Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Here we are again on the roof, creating our subtle space where we can meet no matter where we come from, where we physically are. When somebody starts on the spiritual path, then that person finds himself or herself in a jungle. There are so many teachings. Each one claims to tell the truth. Many things are the same, and there are so many contradictions. Now, what to do with all that? Who is telling the truth exactly? That's something one has to learn on the way. The teachings are not defining reality. They are not defining the essence. The teachings are there to catch the seeker's attention and direct it in the good direction. But it's not a definition of reality. Even the most sublime, beautiful philosophies, they are pointers to that unspeakable truth. But if it cannot be expressed, why should we talk about it at all? Exactly for that. It helps to catch the attention on the mental level and direct it in the proper direction. It's good to remember whatever beautiful teaching we are reading, hearing, listening to, imbibing. The teaching can be a great inspiration, a great encouragement, a great support, but it's not defining reality. Then in places like here, where so many spiritual seekers come, there is always a lot of discussion going on amongst the people. It's like this, no, it's like that, but this teacher said like this teacher said like that. Each one wants to have understood the teaching best. The understanding is helpful. The understanding that we have to have a good look at ourselves, see the mechanisms that are there, that are preventing us from touching the essence consciously. And if the teaching helps us to do that, then the teaching is good, no matter where it's coming from, which teacher brought it out. Whether it's connected to a religion or not connected to a religion, doesn't matter. Great Mahatmas like Ramana Maharshi, they often would say something to one person and say another thing to another person, and if you compare the two statements, you can find contradictions there. People quoting Ramana when they are convinced of a certain teaching, this is the truth, and then they quoting Ramana Maharshi, but Ramana Maharshi said like this and like that. Yes, certainly he did, but he said also sometimes the opposite. He felt to say, to talk in such a way that the person who listens is getting the most amount of spiritual opening, of spiritual inspiration, of looking in the good direction. Then, of course, seekers have always the tendency immediately to categorize. Okay, he may have talked sometimes like this for those who are not yet quite capable of understanding the pure teaching. This is all intellectual arrogance. There is not the highest true teaching. If the teaching helps somebody to consciously catch the attention and direct it towards the source, then that teaching is perfect for that person at that moment. Let us not get lost in wrangling about concepts. Who has understood what is and who has not understood? You are that essence. You can't understand it. Understanding means that we grasp with the mind something. We can understand so many things. We can grasp so many things, but we cannot grasp that which is prior to the mind, which is prior to thoughts, which is prior to feelings. We can direct the mind towards the first expression, pure consciousness, pure love, pure energy. We can even get the notion in the mind. There's something totally mysterious even prior to that. But forget about ever understanding. You are that. All we have to do is bring the attention back to that again and again and again. As we have the tendency to always put barriers, create the sense of separation, and then that experience is small and we feel lost and we feel something is totally not right. What needs to be done is to have a good look at that and see what we are doing, see how we are creating that sense of separation, see how we are creating that sense that there is the essence and I'm something different and there are the others, and then all the struggle is there. On a manifested level, of course, there is separation of time and space from one body to another, but the body is a momentary expression of what you are. It's a channel through which we communicate on this three-dimensional level, in this time-space continuum. Essentially, there is no separation. And the teaching has the purpose of reminding us of that, catching the attention, and help us to turn the attention in the right direction, back to its source, back to that which makes the experience possible, that which makes thinking possible, that which makes feeling possible. That which often I'm just calling that sense of presence. We cannot even say we don't know it, because it's the most familiar. It's always there. We just totally overlook it most of the time. And our job is to make our attention perception subtle enough that we are aware of that sense of presence and come back to that and learn to get rooted in that, relax in that, function from that perspective, live from that level. Then any technique can help us, any teaching can help us, as long as we are aware the teaching is a pointer. If we resonate with a teaching, with a teacher, then it may help us to open the heart to that mystery of existence. And then the teaching is perfectly valid. If I as a person want to understand the teaching and then think I have understood and then I can start to defend the teaching, then we have missed the point. The teaching brings us to silence. And in that peace of the silence, we open up. And there is absolutely no effort that can be made beyond that. It's enough to come that far and be open. And then things will happen all by themselves. All right, my friends. I stopped just talking by myself. I'm asking you, is there anybody who would like to come in and say something? You are welcome to come.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Now you talk about different teachings, and I have a small question. Is any difference in guru, master, and teacher? Is any difference between these words, or they mean the same?
If you make a difference, then there is a difference. These words, they have meaning according to what you put into it. Right. Like guru, for many people, guru means the absolutely supreme, supreme being that is all-knowing. For others, a guru means simply a teacher that can help you to connect better. In India, the musicians, when they learn, they call their teacher guru. So the meaning is different if you give different meanings.
Okay, I see. And I want to share something. in my meditation, I began to see something interesting. So now I listen to this silence, to the sounds of silence, like this ringing silent. And sometimes it seems enough loud. Yes, and it's very pleasant for me to hear this sound. It looks like blessing, something like blessing.
Yes.
Something so beautiful, and it is amazing. Yeah, and amazing. I didn't listen it so clear before, so it goes on maybe a week, some days. I listen to it even not when I meditate, sometimes when I just read a book, for example, or do something, and it just like reminder for me about the connection with this divinity.
Very good. Yeah.
Yes, it helps me to connect with it, to remember, and even maybe it is I can just focus on it. What do you think? Because Dale said it can be just like meditation if to focus on this sound.
Sure. Totally fine. If that comes so spontaneously, naturally, by all means, let it be there. Don't think this is the end of the story, but it's you can say it's a blessing that this comes. And then for some time it may be most extraordinary that it's there. Gradually, the newness may disappear and it becomes a bit commonplace because it's there and you get used to it. But if that is happening now so effortlessly, then you can very well use that as a means to connect and then just be open and relax in it. Not that you get hooked on that sound level of that experience level and think, okay, this is all. You just use that blessing that you got to make it easier to connect. And there you still can remind yourself to relax in it and open. And then wait and see what happens.
Yes, I thank you, Werner, because really it seems to me that it can help me to relax. Yes, because it's very difficult for me to relax, but this sound just like helps me
Very
to
good.
go on. Yes.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wish you well. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to talk? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Leora.
First of all, if it's okay, just to connect to this sound, it's called the sound of silence. I remember when I first heard it, I was, sometimes I would get very frightened because it never stops. It has this taste, yeah, color of, as Nelly said, of divinity. And it's like, the feeling is that I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it goes to. And I remember times when I really, really wanted it to stop, specifically when I was on a very long retreat, of course, because there the quietness develops and developness, the inner. Yeah. And there's a teacher actually who wrote a book about it, The Sound of Silence. But when I first heard it, I didn't know what it was, and now I like it. But I remember when it was really scary, it was very powerful, and it was so much beyond beyond everything. So I also wanted to ask about perception.
Yeah.
When you spoke before, I was wondering about perception. The power of I feel the power of self-perception can become less powerful somehow. And I wonder, perception, does it come from all my biography or one's biography, or also actually, can we go through life without perception or without the power of perception when we lead our everyday life? Or
Nelly, please turn your microphone off. You are interfering. Ah, good. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Leora, can you continue?
Yeah, just to say that perception feels like something that can interfere with connecting to the flow of life and to the sound of silence and to so many good qualities, or I don't know how to define it, but somehow it can interfere also in relationships. It can interfere with the flow of love, of good intentions, and so on.
It's not the perception by itself that is interfering. Perception, you asked, does it come from our biography? No, of course not. Perception is a quality of consciousness. It's simply there. The difference is, how are we directing our attention? And then we are perceiving differently. And how much are we attached to certain perceptions so that they can always interfere? But if we are not attached to certain sense perception, even if they are there, they won't interfere with the flow of life or the love or the relationship or anything. But if we are fixed on certain perception and all the actions that come along with it and the benefits that we want to squeeze out from perceiving, or certain things that we don't like, that we are fixed on not perceiving, if we are not putting the attention there, then there is no interference. After all, it's also a perception that being aware of that sound is simply, it's a subtler perception.
Okay, so it's actually another something that takes me away from the source or being connected. It's another object that takes away my attention.
Right, it's simply the force of habit.
Force of habit.
Right. Usually, except a few very rare exceptions, everybody forgets the origin when they are born in this world.
Again, can you repeat that? Can you repeat the last sentence?
Yes, except the few rare exceptions. Everybody, every being once born in this world, forget their origin, forget what they are. And then the consciousness is opened like a sponge, and we are growing up in a world being bombarded by all these influences that we are being pushed, hurted. How we learn to perceive, how we learn to think, how we learn to feel, and how we should deal with it, how we should behave. All this conditioning is somehow imposed, and we learn to function in that way. And it becomes a pattern that forms a habit, and that the longer we are functioning like this, the stronger that habit becomes. And then even if we start to stop and recognize, I need not go in that direction and strengthen that habit and withdraw from it, but the habit, out of its force, of its momentum, will come and pull your attention away again and again and again. But as that habit has been formed in time, it can also be neutralized in time. But sometimes it takes a bit time.
That was the interesting sentence. You said that the habit comes with time, you said?
Yes.
In time?
Yes.
Okay.
We have maybe certain tendencies already programmed when the birth happens. But then we strengthen that, or we don't strengthen that, and we build up so many other habits, and with the growing up without questioning it, we just form this pattern how we are functioning. And then this becomes a very strong habit, and as we are spending time repeating the same over and over, in time that habit becomes stronger and stronger.
I see.
And so even if we start to at times really withdraw from it, step out of it, then still that momentum of that habit is there, and we'll have the tendency to pull us into that old pattern again against our will. And so as it has been built up with time, unconsciously being strengthened, we can consciously make it weaker again, that it loses its power. And how do we do that? By consciously turning the attention away from that fixation of the attention on a certain level where we don't want it to be fixed, and bring it back to that sense of presence. And then when the habits still overtake, then we are aware what's going on. And then we are not strengthening the habit. In contrary, if the habits pull the attention away, then it's not that we are unconsciously again getting into it, but we are conscious, hey, I don't want that, and it's still happening. And that very fact that we are seeing that like this is weakening the habit that has power over our perception and how we are functioning.
Yeah, I feel in a way it's like a shield. It's something that protects us, or at least me, from letting go of habits that give me the illusion that I'm safe. And I feel that in my life experience, when there were really like life-threatening events, like a sickness or a war, or things, then I was left with no choice, because it's like it demanded to gather sources, maybe, to enable me to function, because it was as I say, life-threatening. So it's like a storm. Right. for
Right. At that time, you felt that it's protecting you. And so you felt it's absolutely necessary. But it's actually a new illusionary sense of safety that we are creating, but psychologically we may feel we need that, but then you can come to the point that you accept, that you recognize, no, actually I don't need this kind of subterfuge. That sense of security that we can create like this is false. It's an illusion. It simply may psychologically calm us down and say, okay, it's easier like that to function. But then once we are coming to that space prior to the mind, then we can also recognize we don't need these kinds of pattern anymore, because actually what we were protecting was not what I am, but that image that I had about myself. That image that I have to continue functioning in the line of that image.
Yeah. Yeah. It's complicated, but and yet it's I understand what you're saying. It's like, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Anybody else would like to come in? I see two cameras open. Maria, you were first.
Hari Om.
Hello, Maria.
My question is about, well, first of all, to say that I feel my negative expectations about events have been fairly neutralized lately, which is wonderful.
Very good.
I haven't had a, like before I remember in the mornings, I would have a very good meditation often, and then walking to the bus stop, the whole negative scenario would start building up.
Right, right.
And fortunately, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. And now, I'm catching the more subtle level at times in some circumstances. And a few days ago, I had a meditation where I was thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
My meditation is very dynamic. There's a lot of physical movement.
Yeah.
And there was this bubbling joy and lightness in the body. And then the voice starts coming through saying, that's too easy. Like you should be having a bit of a hard work, it's like this, it was like the judgment that the ease, there was something wrong about the ease and the enjoyment. And I feel this is the subtle level that prevents me from enjoying more when things go with the flow. And yes, if you could please comment on that.
Right. Actually, it's very good that you becoming aware of it, how we are sabotaging ourselves. And we have learned like this. Then, okay, as little children, we are allowed to play and not be very useful members of society. But then growing up, everybody tells us about the seriousness of life. We can have a little fun in between, but basically it's serious, it's heavy. And this is so ingrained that, like, if somebody feels good, there's the tendency, like a bad conscience comes in. Hey, how can you just be happy? Look out, like there is so much suffering in the world.
Yeah.
It's irresponsible to feel happy there in the midst. You should help carry the weight of the world. But of course, it's complete nonsense, because if we are holding on to that, then we're just adding more heaviness in the world. We are adding more negativity. So when you see that this comes, then you can be 100% sure that you need not buy into it. That no, it's too easy. It must be more complicated. No, you cannot just be now at ease, at peace for no reason. If this kind of thoughts and even the subtle feeling comes, then when you discern it, then you say, I see you. You don't have any power over me anymore. You have the full right here now to be totally at ease, at peace, without having any reason for it. And actually, it's not irresponsible, but actually, the more you live like this, the more something beautiful flows through you, radiates from you, and contributes to some very positive development in this world. It's not that we have to feel heavy loaded and serious and complicated in order to do something for this world. In contrary, the more we're holding on to that, the more we're just adding to the heaviness that makes it difficult. And the more you are capable of detaching from that, the more you yourself are in a natural, happy state, joyous state, not necessarily a jumping ecstasy joyousness, but a peaceful joyousness. And you are adding something very creative, beautiful in the flow of life, of the manifestation. But I remember that I sometimes would suddenly be shocked myself and think, how can I just be happy now? I had also been so used in my life before, and then in the beginning as a seeker, that always press and try to get something, and then feeling, hey, I'm not doing my job if I'm just happy. But of course, it's mental nonsense. Don't believe it. And once you see it, how wrong it is, then when it comes up, you can easily spot it and say, hey, no, I'm not buying into that anymore.
Yeah, as you speak, what is coming up is some memories, stories about family and ancestors. Because in my mind, there is this story that my parents work very hard.
Right.
And they come from villages, moved to a city, had to start new life. And they were very adventurous. I see now that also. It's
Yes.
not just the struggle for survival. And it's like, how can they've struggled. That's the interpretation of the mind.
Right.
And so it's like, I should do the same. I mean, I have to, like, my obligation is to do the same. But then the funny thing is that when my father died some years ago, and before he left, I had a conversation with him, and I was asking him about whether he believed in God and all sorts of things. And he said, no. And for me, that was very shocking. Because I thought, oh God, how's he going to manage? But then I looked at his face, and suddenly the realization came that he was fully happy with the life he had lived.
Yeah.
There was this deep sense of satisfaction. And I felt the message was, I've done what I've come to do. Jolly good.
Right.
And I thought, oh God, and I thought that he had, struggled, but there was deep satisfaction. That gave me an enormous amount of peace when he left the body to to have received that message, which was unspoken, but I felt it.
Yeah.
And another friend also had a father who went to war, and she was also very concerned about her father. When before he left, he basically told her with words, "I've had a blast, actually."
Yeah.
Of a life. And so it's like, yeah, it's fascinating how the conclusions in the mind are often so wrong.
Right. And your father's story is your father's story, and your story is your story. And of course, yes, that's part of the same thing that I have been talking before, that when you see how your parents struggled, that the feeling may sneak in, but then in order to fulfill my duty, also have to struggle.
Yeah.
You have to be sincere, but not heavy sincere, but you can very playfully be sincere. Sincere not in externally struggling and doing this and doing that and achieving so many things if you want to, but even then you can do it playfully. But the sincerity is, if you really want to fulfill the purpose of your life, be sincere about connecting with yourself. And the more you connect, really, the more a joyousness will bubble up, and you understand that you don't need to be in tension about it. That tension is something that we are creating in the mind, and somehow it keeps us on the line that we are trying to follow, but it's a heavy burden. And if we stop doing that, then it becomes play. It's nice then for people like your parents, like your father, that at the end he was not regretting and felt fine, great. He did what he came for. He had to go through that struggle, through those tensions in order to come to this point. That doesn't mean that you have to repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. That feels very freeing. Very freeing.
Right. It's wonderful when old people, when they nearing that, when they can say, I'm happy, I have lived. There are so many who feel betrayed. You always hope they struggle, they hope then the next stage will bring it. And then suddenly they are old and they think, hey, what the hell, where is my life gone? Where is the time gone? I always expected that there comes the time where I can enjoy, and so far it hasn't come. And they regret and become bitter. So it's nice if they do what they do, and even if it's heavy, even if they struggle, but then it's still what they want to do, and then they are happy about having done it according to their best ability. That's great. Not everybody comes that they want to struggle for self-realization, and they come have a certain program, and if they fulfill that program, then they feel happy about it, satisfied, that the purpose of their life has been fulfilled. It's great.
Yeah.
But that is their story, and your story is your story. And whatever they needed in order to fulfill their purpose is not necessarily the same that we are needing. And the more we can let go and playfully go about it, the more joyous it becomes, and actually the more we are sincerely fulfilling the purpose of being here.
I feel this is probably one of the biggest presents he has left for me, that communication.
Yeah.
That he had, in a way was understanding. I understood he wanted to be a father, a husband, and he did that very well. And that brought about lots of challenges, as they do for all of us in different ways. But to hear from somebody that deep level of satisfaction that was, yeah, was a beautiful closure.
Good. Yeah, nice.
Thank you so much, Werner. I highly, highly appreciate your guidance and everybody's questions. And I'm going on a retreat now on Tuesday. I'll be back on the 6th of January, so I'll join you again when I come back.
Okay.
Thank
Wish you
you.
well. Have a good, playful, joyous retreat.
I'll do my best.
Wish you well.
Thank
Hario.
you. Hario.
Hario. Hario. Okay, Andreas, if you want to come in now, you're welcome.
Yes, right.
Hello.
It's about assumptions. Like before you said that when you're talking to Leora, that it's the habits that binds us. But
Yes.
isn't it like also like the deep-rooted assumptions, like identifying with the body and mind?
Mm.
Or just, yeah.
Yes, sure. But actually, I'm calling that also habits.
Okay.
That's how we were being taught how to perceive, and then it becomes a habit. It becomes an assumption that we are not questioning. But actually, little children, of course, they very much live in their senses and scream if their sense desire is not fulfilled. But at the same time, there's still not such a strong identification like with adults, that when they start to talk, often instead of saying I, they refer about themselves in the third person and say their name. That Peter wants this, Mary wants that. And as we grow up, we stop questioning that identification, and that habit becomes so strong that's an unquestionable assumption. But actually, the assumption is for me also a habit.
Really?
Yes, that a habit that has formed so strongly that we stop questioning it, and then it's just an assumption that is there. I am this body. I am this person. Separate from the whole rest of existence.
But what has changed over the years?
What do you mean?
What, in your perception, like you say you still have that habit? I believe that there has some change been there for you, that you're not so completely identified with it, or know that there's something else.
Right. For in my struggle for a long time, I denied the body. I thought, oh, this body is terrible, terrible. I'm being in a prison in this body. Often I felt like throwing away this body. But then after that, there was a change of perception, and suddenly, no, this is an expression of the self. This is a channel through which I can connect on this level, but the sense of separation disappeared. If you are not identifying in that sense that I am this person, I am this body in this person, I know this person in this body, or the other, then that person is still there as a possibility to pick up whenever it's necessary to communicate on this level. The body is still there, functioning, but it becomes, instead of a prison, it becomes a home. Actually, it becomes a temple. It's housing the divinity. It's the most holy temple that exists, all the external buildings that they have created, they are only imitations of that. But the, but the mistake is that instead of looking at the foundation and the structure of the temple as that, we have the tendency to worship that as the divine. We worship the body, and we worship its needs, we worship its desires. We identify so much, and looking at the structure as the deity. Well, the deity is not the structure. It's there in the sanctum sanctorum. You are that deity. And the body is just the possibility to express that divinity that you are on this level.
How is it for you with your habit then, that you're, say, like the identification with body and mind? Does this habit still, I don't know how to say it,
I mean,
interfere?
Yeah, a little bit, as long as this body exists, a little bit will remain. It somehow seems to be necessary that physical survival is possible. Otherwise, it will just diffuse. But it stops having the power to create suffering, because that identification doesn't go that far that if the little physical impulses are not being fulfilled, that it disturbs the peace that is prior to that.
Mm-hmm. Another question, oh, go on.
Yeah, I mean, as long as a body exists, you still somehow do the necessary thing to keep it alive. Also, Ramana Maharshi, who kept very strongly, that's in his line of teaching, negating the value of the body, still, I mean, he kept on coming out and eating, and he was eating food that was sustaining the body. And I'm not more in that line of totally denying the value of the body. Actually, I think the body is something fantastic if we put it in the right place. It's a fantastic possibility for the experience to learn and to expand. But it's the structure of the temple. It's not the deity of the temple. And there we make the mistake by identifying so strong as if it was the deity and worship the body.
What, I mean, I wanted to ask about the, you said in the beginning, you said that you make your perception subtler in,
Yes.
in the meditations. And I'm not, I mean, coming from a Buddhist background, I made this a lot of time like the main goal of my practice, to make it the perception more subtler. And now I'm doubting if that is really helpful for me, because I'm in the process. I mean, I'm very like mind controlled person. So this making it subtler made the mind controlled stronger in a way. And I feel more right now, I believe my assumption is that I need more to open up and be at ease and take it easier than to more be like controlled. So I don't know. I mean, how is it then with the subtlety? Do you really need subtlety, or is it more simplicity that you need in the? Because I mean, you said it's always there anyway.
Yes. You know, you don't have even to have the concept that you're making your perception subtler. But if you do that, if you let go, if you relax, if you don't hold on to that attachment to gross perceptions, then automatically, whether you think about it or not, your perception is getting subtler. It's not by will control that you're making your perception subtler. You can, up to a certain point, but then you also have to give up that. The will is more the agent that we continue, and not so much directly with willpower trying to control. There is an approach like this. It's not for many people, that needs a special mental setup that one can go with will and on and on and on and on without becoming destructive on the way. But the will is needed that we just keep going. Otherwise, then we would just simply abandon and try to forget about it. But it's not so much that we have to control in order to get subtler in our perception, but just become more peaceful. And in that increased peaceful experience, the perception automatically gets subtler. You need not do anything about it. And in that increased subtleness of the perception, it's easier to become aware of that sense of presence. Everybody is aware of that sense of presence. Everybody, when they say in their language, I, immediately the attention touches something so totally familiar. Then the mind comes and we give all kinds of explanations what that I is, and there we are already losing that sense that in the first moment when you just say I. Everybody, whether they have ever had a spiritual thought or not, touches something so totally familiar, alive, that has been there all the time. But then if the perception is habitually not subtle, then immediately it slips away and goes to so many thoughts, and through the thoughts to so many desires, and through the desires holding on to objects and whatever. And we're totally missing that sense of presence that is always there, that you touch when you say I. And when your perception is getting subtler, it becomes easier to consciously turn the attention back to that. Without that increased subtlety of perception, it's very difficult. But we don't have to worry about becoming subtler in perception. You just bring the attention back again and again and learn to relax in it, and then it's happening all by itself.
I wasn't sure if some of the Buddhist instructions misled me in a way that, well, yeah, for me, it might not be the problem of the instructions, but for me, it just led to more contractedness, too much willpower, too much effort, too much, yeah, not enough ease.
Okay. But then you need not think that you made a mistake there. Most probably, that's what you had to go through to come to the point where you are now. So no point in regretting anything, but at the same time, you can think maybe certain things that I was holding on too strongly before are simply not more necessary.
Yeah. My feeling is that I have to let go of my mental control and like the desire to understand everything.
Actually, that's a very good idea.
But that's a very deep enforced habit.
Yes, but then when you are aware of that habit and see it, even if it comes again and again, then just watch it. And by watching it, you are not making that habit stronger, but gradually it will give way to that compulsion to try to understand, to try to be on top of it. It gives that sense of security. If we think we understand, then we feel secure. We feel on top of the situation. So it's an illusory security, but it gives that feeling. And then when we see that, if the habit is strong, it will come back again and again. But if we are alert, then we see it earlier and earlier, and then we can say, okay, now I just relax. Need not figure every damn thing out.
I find it helpful in the way that I sometimes, when I figured out my mistakes, I can drop them. Like, yeah, because my meditation is led by unconscious assumptions in a lot of ways, like I just explained about the way of subtlety. So the figuring out is good for discovering the mistakes, the wrong assumptions.
Right. Definitely, understanding is not wrong. There's a lot of stuff that we can understand and we have to understand. When we have a good look at ourselves, that we understand more and more the mechanism of the mind, how we are creating obstacles, that understanding is very necessary and helpful. But then the tendency is that we want to understand also that which cannot be understood, that we misuse that capacity of figuring things out and try to be in control of things that need not be controlled. And there we can say, hey, this is not necessary. That figuring things out is a certain level where we have to make a certain order in order to be capable of detach enough that we can go beyond it. But when we go beyond it, we don't have to carry that habit into the beyond the practical mental level.
Sometimes I even start to think about, like, in former times, maybe in like the medieval times in Europe, people maybe have felt like the presence of God, which might have been something which opened them very much up. And as a modern Westerner, I feel very much like different from that. And sometimes I think maybe, does that go in the right direction, more like changing the locus of control in a way?
Frankly, I didn't quite get what you wanted to say.
Like, in German, it's jeder ist seines eigenen Glückes Schmied. Also everybody is responsible for his experience, or his
well-being, his luck or his well-being.
Yeah, and I felt like maybe this is way too much, like internal. The position of control is internally, and it's you need to open up to give it up to divinity. Right. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense, and it depends how you understand that saying. Everyone is the author of one's own luck, of one's own well-being, that it's our responsibility. Actually, you already are lucky. You already are joyous. You already are at ease, at peace. Simply we are not aware of it. And then, of course, there are a lot of influences in the past that brought the present situation about. In the present, all these influences that bombard us, that have the tendency to pull the attention away from that complete divine being that you are. And you said maybe there is too much struggle involved in that saying. If we take that saying that we have to somehow achieve our luck because it's absent, then of course it's total struggle. I struggle and struggle to sometime in future achieve happiness. But that happiness we are looking for is already there. And once we become aware, then it stops being a struggle. Our responsibility is to remind ourselves to have a good look at it and see that nobody can do for us. And then there may be more or less burdens that we have been carrying along. Everybody carries something, some more, some less, but then looking at that and learn to let go. And then that's not like an achieving something in the future, but every moment, every time I become aware that I'm holding on to attention and let go, I'm capable at that moment to let go of that. It's already self-fulfilling, because at that moment you feel great relief. It's not that we then have to keep that idea of struggling, that maybe if we are doing our job well, sometime after a long journey in the future, I will be happy. And if we understand that saying like this, then of course it's a heavy story. But if you understand it, that actually it's already there. So, and it's our job to look in the right direction. Then you can understand that saying as an encouragement, not as a curse.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Hari-Om. Hari-Om.
Hari-Om.
Hari-Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome. We have some more time. Hello. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Manuela, I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Nice to see you. hope to see you soon in Tiro.
Oh, you're coming there. Here.
Yeah, so I have not really a question, or maybe yes, I have one. So I'm quite struggling since a long time with my body, with my health, with doing things for my parents. So I'm totally overwhelmed with everything, and I don't know how to come out. And I'm so far away from being present, being conscious. So I just have not the possibility, in my opinion, to relax. And my body is showing me this. So, and it's quite a circle, and I really don't know how to get out of it. And I'm so far away from Om Shanti, everything is fine, you know? So, and I don't know, it's a little bit a circle, and I don't know how to get out.
Well, something that I have said many times, I have said to you earlier, try in spite of all the things that you have to do to have every day some time where you have nothing to do, where you are not busy, where you can do nothing else, but in one way or another bring the attention consciously to the present and relax as good as you can. You said you're so far away from relaxing. Of course, when there is a tension there that is very strong, we may say relax and it's not relaxing. But still, if you are consciously giving the impulse, something is happening. Even if you don't feel it's really fully relaxing. So don't handicap yourself by being sure that you cannot relax. Instead of that, in spite of not being capable of relaxing completely, you can tell yourself again and again, Manuela, relax. Whatever you are doing, what I said before, have every day some time where you are not busy, where you can relax as good as you can and be as conscious in the present as good as you can. We cannot decide from now on I'm being totally relaxed and it's happening. We can decide as much as we want, but it may not happen. But we still can give the impulse and give the possibility. And then during the daytime, whatever you are doing, every now and then stop for a moment and just breathe deeply. And again, consciously relax as good as you can. And already it's a relaxing some. It may not relax as much as you would like, but if we are full intention and then do these little gaps in between, then already some relaxation will be there. Hey, Jasmine, uh-oh. She also should relax a bit more. It sounds loud in the microphone, huh?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter actually.
Doesn't
For me, it
disturb.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't disturb. Okay. It's a neighbor compound one started, and then our dog also will start. And if I want to stop her, I have to run there. So I let her go on. Sometimes we go through periods where everything seems to be too much, too overwhelming. It's beyond our control. But I think I'll stop her. Just a moment. Jasmine. There we are back. Hello.
Hello. Nice to see you too.
So you behave, huh?
Sweet.
Okay. Relax, huh? Relax.
I mean, actually, I totally agree, but I can say for me at the moment, it's really not so easy. I mean, because also my job is so exhausting. And
Yeah.
during the job to stop, I know I should do that more often, even if it's only 5 minutes. But that's quite for me at the moment very difficult.
Even if it's every now and then, just 10 seconds, to consciously stop, breathe 2 or 3 times, maybe 1 minute. And then this already changes the flavor. And then even if you are in a stressed and exhausting situation, it gives you immediately strength and new freshness to deal with it. Otherwise, if we never do that, then it has the tendency to accumulate the feeling that it's unbearable. I can't anymore. It's too much. And the more we go into that, the heavier it becomes. And so every now and then, just even if it's a short break of just stepping out, then it stops accumulating and becomes easier to do. But I know there may be periods where it's just not easy, not so easy. But then if we don't resist with all that we have against the fact that it is as it is, it's already easier to bear. Accept, all right, now it seems I have to go through that. Well, because if that resistance is there, if somehow the feeling is there, it's too much, it shouldn't be like this, I can't, then we're losing so much energy and it becomes bigger and bigger. We make it bigger and bigger. But if we get around to somehow accept, okay, what I'm going through maybe not easy, not pleasant, but that's what is on the program. Let me not make it more difficult by resisting against the fact that it is as it is, and after that I'm doing it anyhow. If that acceptance is there, already it's like half of the burden is gone. And then you have also more the courage to remind yourself every now and then, just a moment, stop, breathe, relax. And then it looks already a bit different, even after a short time. So you need not think, oh, I should make every now and then for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a gap. Maybe you cannot do that, but you can every now and then, just a little moment, do that consciously. And then it becomes easier. Sometimes our destiny burdens us with a lot of different things simultaneously, and each one looks like it's too much. But if we stop resisting, then actually everybody is, when we stop resisting, everybody is surprised how much reserves that we have, how much energy, how much strength that is actually there if we are not handicapping it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can see that I'm often in resistance with a lot of things, and
Yes.
that is a lot of energy then there.
It's eating the life force. So, but it seems soon you can make a break and come to Tiruvannamalai.
Yeah, I will come at the end of January. I'm coming.
Oh, fine.
So you're giving satsangs in Tiru on Tuesday, and Saturday you have your online satsang, right?
Right. I'll start next Tuesday. Will be the first satsang this season. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I
I'm
wish you
looking
well.
forward to see you, of course, and Sudha too.
We are looking forward to. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to say something? Shreya, you wanted to come in? You have to unmute.
Yes.
Ah, there you are. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask what time is the satsang on Tuesday? And I have never been to your satsang, so how do I get there?
Are you in Tiruvannamalai?
No, not yet. I'm leaving not this weekend, next weekend.
Oh, yeah. Have you been in Tiruvannamalai?
Yes, only for a short time. I don't know it very well.
Sure.
Someone told me that the tuk-tuk drivers know the way to Werner's house, but I don't know if every tuk-tuk driver will know.
It depends where you are asking. If you're going to town, they will not know. But in front of Ramanashram and in front of Ushas, they all know. You just ask Werner and they bring you there.
I'm staying near the ashram.
Yeah. So they're around, they all know. And they know also the time, but it's always at 3 o'clock. As I'm doing this at 3 o'clock Indian time, also the other satsang is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
3 o'clock. Okay, I'll have to write it down. 3 o'clock. And so the tuk-tuk drivers do know.
Anyhow,
out
they
the
know.
front of the ashram.
They know.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So,
Oh, good. I'll have to write it down. So probably, yeah, in a week and a half.
oh,
I'll be there. I'll be
very
there on
good.
Tuesday.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a practical question. I see somebody coming in. Is that somebody wants to come in? Bea, do you want to say something, Bea? No, that was not intentional. Okay. All right. So I'll say it officially for somebody who listens to the recording but has not seen it on Facebook. On 20th, that's from now, the coming Tuesday, I will start the satsangs in the afternoon and continue on Tuesdays until further notice. Here on the roof to come physically, but we will, for the time being, continue the Saturday online satsangs as usual. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.